will say that does not mean we can't have a conversation about the deeper context here. We have to have that conversation. That does not justify in any way what happened. You said there's a siege on Gaza. That's right. There has also been a blockade since 2007. That is part of this context. Again, not a justification, never a justification.
Well, a blockade from a land they gave back.
Yeah,
they gave back.
Right.
Gaza is
well,
not
they withdrew
occupied.
their forces and settlements from within Gaza.
Okay, but the reason there's a blockade is to stop like this from happening.
No, I agree with that.
That's the whole point. And they gave it back. They said, you know what? Make your life your own.
I find Bill Maher to be interesting. He is constantly confronted by the reality of the very evil religion he has promoted endlessly throughout his career. And every now and then he'll almost bubble up and wake up, but he can never fully get there. But there's somebody, he's a good friend of mine. He has a really great quote out there. And the quote is, "The revolution doesn't stop just because it reaches something you hold sacred." Auron MacIntyre joins us now, host and columnist for The Blaze. Auron, who said that? And what did he mean by it?
Well, I think the key for people to understand is that so many of the people who are now these classic liberals, these IDW types, the people who said, oh no, the left is going too far, they were at the tip of the spear. They were at the beginning of this revolution. They were tearing down America, tearing down its values, destroying Christianity, destroying faith, destroying the family, getting rid of tradition, getting rid of everything that made us who we are. And they were all aboard that with that revolutionary fervor because they had a goal they wanted to reach. But once that had been reached, once they had gotten to that goal, they didn't want to be part of the revolution anymore because the revolution was starting to eat at things they cared about. Oh, you like free speech? Oh, you like your ability to say whatever you want or not have to go along with the next progressive fad? Oh, you like the idea that women are something that are special and should be protected? Well, too bad, because those were all part of the traditions and they will be eaten alive too. And you can't just stand in front of the revolution and say, no, don't eat the thing I hold sacred. It will keep going because that's the nature of the revolution.
Auron, a lot of people are having a difficult time making the connection. Maybe they see themselves as, oh, just leftists, or oh, I'm just a little bit liberal or progressive. They're having a hard time figuring out why all their friends and family members, like in the Black Lives Matter movement, immediately began cheering the rape and murder of women and children. They couldn't understand why those two movements are the same. Could you explain to people why those two movements are actually the same movement?
Yes, because the left is not a purely ideological thing. It is a mystery cult of power. It's the reason that so many different parts of this coalition can have what seem like totally different aims is that all of them have the same goal, which is the disassembly of the United States and Christendom, the wider Western world. They want to destroy the family. They want to destroy America. They want to destroy the Constitution and freedoms that people hold dear. They want to destroy these values. And they don't really care who they're standing next to. They don't really care about these principles of free speech or freedom of religion or the marketplace of ideas. Those were only excuses that got them to dismantle the next thing. And so they'll quickly discard those things that they used to pretend to hold sacred once they get there. So yeah, women, children, free speech, feminism, whatever, throw it all under the bus. The only thing that really matters is dismantling what was there, the things that were in power, and replacing them with revolutionaries. That's all they really care about.
It is fascinating to hear how much of their religion is ingrained in this. I was actually in New York City in the weekend, and I was sadly stuck with some commie piece of trash. I won't go into the details of it. And he was speaking just so matter-of-factly about just the evils of this country and everything we talked about on the issues. Every issue, it just came back to that for him. America's evil. America's always been evil. That's his basis. That's his foundation. And so everything will return to that. Yet people on the right have such a difficult time simply saying we're dealing with America haters who want to burn the country down. Why is that hard for the right to say?
Because the right has been conditioned to avoid the friend-enemy distinction. We have a really hard time thinking about people who oppose our way of life as actual enemies, as people who really existentially do not like your way of life and would like to remove it. That's very difficult for us to think about. We want to think of those people as people we're in a negotiation with, where we're in a debate with. They have a general viewpoint that is the same as ours. They have the same moral vision. They want the same outcome for the United States, the prosperity, the growth, the freedoms. They want all those things, right? They just have a different way of going about it. But that's not the case. That's not what's happening here. These people have a fundamentally different understanding of the country, what its values should be, the way it should be structured. And their interest is not in debating you. It's not in convincing you. It's in removing you, which they have made very clear from their willingness to align themselves with the rhetoric of people like Hamas. We're now hearing about decolonization, which has been at the forefront of movements like BLM and critical race theory. And we're hearing that echoed when it comes to supporting the attacks of Hamas on Israeli citizens. And that's what we're going to see here. We're seeing the approval of that violent tactic because at the end of the day, that's what this was all about.
You wrote something about the end of the high trust society, and I'm glad you talk about this. I try to talk about this as much as I can, about trusting our institutions. And once that is lost, honestly, everything is lost until it comes back, is it not?
Absolutely. A society can only function when people have a common understanding of the social code, a common value, a common tradition, common identity that binds them together and gives them a certain set of norms and values that they can go day to day with. The reason that you can put products on a store shelf and not have to have every single thing locked away is because there's a common understanding that they will not be taken, that they will not be stolen, that there will not need to be some kind of force used to keep every single individual from walking out of the store with a $5 tube of toothpaste. However, that is no longer the case. We no longer have that shared society, and the high trust behaviors that we require to have a complex and safe society are passing away.
Auron, how do we get them back? As far as, look, if I'm one of these people, and let's say I'm extremely hopeful, we can patch this back up again. Not boomer talking points like America can do anything, but I mean, legitimately, how can we put Humpty Dumpty back together again? How does that trust come back? I've argued, and maybe you disagree with me, and obviously that's fine, that it can't possibly come back unless a bunch of government people go to prison. There's no second way. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a better way. You tell me.
No, I think you're right. I think that's just step one, unfortunately. I think that's necessary but not sufficient. There are a large number of people in our government who are dedicated to dismantling our high trust society. That is their goal. That is their mission. They are doing it for power, like we talked about. It is a cult of power, and they are willing to dismantle our society to do so. So that's step one, is those people have to get out of power, and they have to be permanently removed from the ability to obtain it again. But the second part is we have to heal as a nation. And I think that means a couple of things. First, it means an absolute moratorium on immigration for a good long time. We need to take the people who are already here and bind them once again into a common identity, into a common value system, into a place where we can once again embrace those values as Americans. I think that also means that we need to have a very serious talk about policing, enforcement, law and order, and letting those results, letting the law and order do what it needs to do. Even if the result of that reflects in demographic realities or other realities that we don't like, that we find uncomfortable. If we are not willing to police our population, if we're not willing to enforce our laws that are on the books and make sure that we keep the streets safe no matter what, then it's impossible for us to regain a high trust society.